Look at this woman. She went to jail for 88 days for crimes she never committed. She was classified as a dangerous sex offender and was held on a $1 million bail.
Mornings when I would wake up and I would think, okay, I'm gonna wake up a second time. This is just a nightmare. And it wasn't. It was for real.
The police, the prosecutor, the judge, all did their best to lock her up. Every single person whose job was to protect her failed her. But why? While I was digging this case, I found out there is this security camera footage that would have proven her innocence in 1 minute, which existed the whole time. Nobody pulled it. And the woman who built this entire trap against her, she was sitting at home writing a Lifetime TV movie pitch about herself while Michelle was locked in a cell. That is the story.
Live through this.
It is really like your worst nightmare coming true.
The internet called it the Diabolical story.
Diabolical.
Absolutely.
And by the end of this video, I promise you, you will understand why this case is indeed a diabolical story. Let's go back to the beginning. This is Michelle Hadley. She was 29 years old, smart, hardworking. She worked at Disneyland Resort as a marketing manager. She was building a life.
Lust for life, she's a runner,
She started dating this man named Diaz. Ian was a deputy U.S. Marshal, a federal law enforcement officer. The kind of job that comes with a badge, a gun, and, as this case would prove, enormous influence over local police. They dated for 2 years. They bought a condo together in Anaheim, California in June 2015. Michelle put in the down payment, $14,400 of her own money. The total mortgage was $459,000. But by August 2015, they broke up. Michelle moved out. Ian stayed in the condo. And instead of selling the property and splitting what they had both built, Ian refused. So Michelle did what most of us do. She pushed back. She sent emails. She wanted her money and her name off that mortgage. And that, right there, is what started everything. Because Diaz met someone new. Her name was Angela. They met on a dating app in January 2016. They got married 1 month later, in February 2016. Well, that was fast. Way fast. And almost immediately, the emails from Michelle started to look very different. Threatening emails, violent emails, messages filled with dark religious language. God's vengeance will rise. You will pay for this. Burn in the fiery pits of hell tonight. These emails had Michelle's name on them, but Michelle says she never wrote them. Angela went to the Anaheim Police Department and showed them the emails. She said she was scared for her life. She said she was receiving threatening messages every single day that were damaging her mental health. Obviously, the police believed her. But there was something Angela did not tell the police. She was the one sending those emails, to herself, from fake accounts she had created. 8 different fake email accounts, routed through VPNs and proxy servers, designed to hide where they were really coming from. She wrote threatening messages to herself, and then she walked into a police station and showed them to officers as proof that Michelle Hadley was dangerous. And it worked. I gotta say, she must be very good in the IT sector, because Angela also had something most people making police reports do not have: a husband with a federal badge. Diaz, being a good husband, told the Anaheim officers he was a federal marshal. He told them he investigated threats against federal judges and prosecutors for a living. And then he looked those local officers in the eye and said he had never seen anything this serious in his entire career. The local police, facing a federal agent vouching for his wife's story, stopped asking questions. Now, most people watching this would assume the story corrects itself, because this is America, right? You get arrested, but then investigators look closer. They check the evidence. They find the holes. The truth comes out before too much damage is done. That is what people think happens, and there is nothing wrong with that. That's usually how it should go. But that wasn't the case here. I am going to tell you 7 moments where the system had a chance to catch this, and didn't. Failure 1. The camera they never checked. Angela called 911. She said a stranger had come to the house and tried to hurt her. She showed up to speak with officers with a torn shirt and visible marks on her body. She said Michelle had sent this man to harm her. The Anaheim police arrested Michelle Hadley that same day. But here is what the security footage of the Diaz property showed, footage that was later presented in federal court. Ian and Angela Diaz devised a plan to lure men from Craigslist into believing they were part of a consensual rape fantasy scenario concocted by Hadley. In reality, the Diazes were the actual masterminds behind the scheme. The men would arrive and attack Angela Diaz. They said it was advertised. We later understand this was all to frame Michelle, as stated in the federal indictment. But by the time anyone looked at that footage, Michelle was already behind bars. Failure 2. The emails nobody traced. The evidence against Michelle was a stack of printed out emails, printed paper, handed to detectives by Angela Diaz. If they had traced the IP addresses of those emails, things would have played out very differently. Nobody ran that trace before arresting Michelle. Nobody. Failure 3. The badge that silenced everything. Ian Diaz did not just report to police as a concerned husband. He used his federal credentials as a weapon. The trust, the authority he had built around his life's work. The local officers complied without thinking twice. Failure 4. The $1 million bail. Michelle Hadley now faced charges of felony stalking, criminal threats, and attempted forcible conduct, charges that carried a maximum sentence of life in prison. A judge set her bail at $1 million. Based on what? Printed emails, no forensic verification, no IP trace, no camera check. Failure 5. The fake medical claims nobody verified. While Michelle sat in jail, Angela kept building her case. She told investigators she was pregnant. She later said she had miscarried because of the stress Michelle had caused. She told investigators she had been diagnosed with terminal cervical cancer. She forged doctor's notes. All these lies, and not one investigator or court official demanded a verified medical record. Not one. Failure 6. The law that got flipped. Now pay attention here. California has a law called Marsy's Law. In simple terms, it protects victims by making sure law enforcement tells them when the person accused of harming them gets released from custody. Good law, important law, designed to protect real victims. Angela Diaz used it. Every time Michelle made bail or was released from custody, Angela received an automatic notification from law enforcement. And every single time that notification came through, the threatening emails started again. She was using a victim protection law designed for people like Michelle to track Michelle's movements in real time and continue the setup. The system built to protect the innocent became the tool used to destroy her. That is not a glitch. That is a structural failure that nobody has fixed. I have covered many cases involving this rigged system, so I should know. Failure 7. The alibis they ignored. Michelle Hadley had evidence showing she could not have sent some of the messages. Her attorneys presented it. The prosecution already had a story. They had confirmation bias, which just means they had already decided she was guilty, and they stopped looking for anything that said otherwise.
He tricked us. So we had all the evidence that we had at that point pointed at Ms. Hadley. But as we found out, it now appears that Angela Diaz was the one behind everything.
And while all of this was happening, while the system piled charge after charge on an innocent woman, Angela Diaz went home, opened her laptop, and started writing. The document investigators later found on her computer was a pitch to the Lifetime television network. She had titled it, "A Darkness Within, the Angela Diaz Story." It was the story of how she, Angela, had been terrorized and stalked.
Well, there was a condo issue, and to me, it's about the condo. Because otherwise, what threat am I? I was out of the picture.
The whole thing started to fall apart when one investigator decided to actually do his job. He traced the IP addresses on the emails. They had come from Angela Diaz, from the Diaz condo, from Angela's father's house in Arizona. 8 fake accounts, VPNs, proxy servers, all of it unraveling at once. On October 7th, 2016, Michelle Hadley was released from custody, 88 days after she walked in. In January 2017, all charges were officially dropped. Orange County Deputy District Attorney Richard Zimmer reached through the cell bars and personally apologized to her before she left.
To be made clear in the media and in cyberspace, Ms. Hadley is an innocent victim of a diabolical scheme.
Angela Diaz pleaded guilty in October 2017 to 10 felonies and 22 misdemeanors: kidnapping, false imprisonment, forgery, perjury. She received 5 years in state prison. Ian Diaz was indicted 5 years later in 2021, found guilty by a jury in March 2023 on all counts: cyberstalking, conspiracy, perjury, and obstruction of justice. And the Anaheim police officers who signed off on arresting an innocent woman? Nothing happened to them. They did a press conference, though. This case was not about one crazy woman and one corrupt cop. We know that by now. Everything is connected, and everyone is responsible. When does a badge become a shortcut for truth? When does printed paper become proof? That is why I urge you, document everything, date everything, save everything. Because in this case, the truth was always there. It just took one person deciding to actually look for it. Michelle Hadley lost her job, her savings, her reputation, 88 days of her life. Right now, Michelle is working in a marketing company. Ian's still in prison. And Angela Diaz divorced Ian, but we don't know the whereabouts of her. Nothing in this video is legal advice. If you are facing a legal situation, please talk to a licensed attorney.
Traumatic experience of my life, and I'm glad it's finally over.
The system is supposed to protect you. Sometimes it fails, like it failed to protect Michaela in this video. I will see you there.